Welcome, friends. Today, we are doing another fragrance review. Tremendous. And the fragrance we are reviewing today is Herba Fresca from the Acqua Allegoria line by Guerlain. As usual, this fragrance review will follow my tried and trusted technique of telling you the notes, telling you which notes I get from said notes, and then me just talking about the fragrance. I don't think this one's going to take that long. It's not that complicated of a fragrance. But we'll see. We will start with the notes then. And the notes are lemon and clover at the top, mid notes of mint and green tea, and the base notes are lily of the valley and cyclamen. There is also a write-up for this fragrance, so I will tell you that. Herba Fresca smells of green plants after a storm. Morning walk barefoot on a dewy grass, a smell of unforgettable summer. This is a rare and unexpected fragrance in the perfume world, which amazes and brings joy. The fresh odour of grass lifts up from the ground and mixes with the whiff of mint, trees and wild flowers. It was created in 1999. Eau de Toilette line Acqua Allegoria is a fragrant fantasy, like taking a walk in the garden. And which garden it is depends on the main note of the composition, while all the other components are there to accentuate its beauty. Acqua Allegoria Eau de Toilettes are created mainly for women, although some of them might as well be used by men. Oh, well, thanks very much. So the main notes I get from this are lemon, mint, and tea. Green tea. It is floral. It is gardeny, absolutely gardeny. It smells like you are out in a garden which has just had some water, you know. It starts off with this, I've got some on my hand. It starts off with this almost astringent lemon green kind of vibe, you know. Like imagine biting into a lemon with the rind still on. And it's very sharp, but that doesn't last, in my opinion. It feels like the thin end of a wedge, you know. It's only sharp for about a minute or so, and the lemon starts to die back, rounded out by the other florals. Could be the clover doing that. I'm not overly familiar with clover, but I think it's got a little bit of sweetness to it. And that sort of takes the edge off the lemon, you know. As we all know, I'm not a huge fan of lemon whatsoever. So that's not a bad thing in my opinion. Lemons and citruses at the top of summer perfumes, and this is a summer perfume. You couldn't wear this. It would be far too bracing in the winter. You could wear it in the spring. The autumn, I don't think, maybe early autumn while it's still warm, but as soon as the temperature drops, it's just mint. You know, it's not ideal for those seasons. I think most of these in the Acqua Allegoria line are like that. But back to the lemon sort of sweetens and rounds and backs off. It growls at first, it pinches and bites and nips, but then it sort of settles back and dies down, and the tea actually comes out. And as the tea presents, it brings with it the mint. And the longer the fragrance goes on, the more prominent and dominant the mint becomes, with the green tea sort of steps back from the mint, and the mint becomes this kind of not creamy kind of mint, a zesty kind of mint. I have another fragrance which is very mint prominent called Menthe Fraîche, and that's a very creamy kind of mint, like a creme de menthe. This is more of a herbal kind of mint, a green mint, and the green tea sort of pushes that greenness, you know, that kind of fresh, slightly darker mint. It makes the mint more verdant, you know, very naturalistic smelling. It's very, very, very good rendering of mint in a fragrance. Guerlain are used to employing a mint fragrance. It is actually present in Derby. That's how you can tell if your vintage Derby is in great condition, as fortunately mine was. I got a 200ml Eagle bottle of vintage Derby, and I could smell the mint at the top. This is a subtly different kind of mint. This is the mint in Derby's. I mean, it's paired with a leather, so you can imagine how that is. This is a much more kind of prominent, fresh, green, lifelike, lively mint, you know. It smells like you've just picked a sprig of it and put it on top of some ice cream as like garnish, you know. Very summery, very green. It has that almost that kind of chlorophyll aspect to it. The tea, the cyclamen, maybe even the lily of the valley present this like watery greenness that pushes the mint away from like a dessert kind of mint and keeps it plant-like, you know. It's absolutely beautiful. It is my favourite Aqua Allegoria. Still to this day. This was one of the first released in the line, and these get discontinued like you wouldn't believe, which is an absolute tragedy. But this one has stuck around, and it makes perfect sense that it's stuck around because it's so good. It really is, and it would be an absolute tragedy if Guerlain got rid of it. I only have my 75ml bottle, and I wear a lot of it, as you can see. I have felt qualified to review this because... hello. Because of how familiar I am with it. One thing I will say, my friend went on holiday to Tunisia and thought, I know what I'll take. I'll take Herba Fresca with me. It'll be perfect. When he got there, it was almost 40 Celsius. That's well over 100 Fahrenheit. And when he was there, he texted me and said, Herba Fresca. And I said, yes, it's great, isn't it? He was like, oh, no doubt. He was like, but not in Africa. He was like, it does not work in this heat. And I was like, well, most things aren't going to work in that heat. I mean, I would stop working in that heat. No doubt. And he was like, mate, it becomes cloying. And I think there's a bit of that really slightly sweet aspect of the mint. Slightly sweet aspect of the mint that doesn't work in high heat. So that's something to bear in mind. But in an English summer, this is fantastic. I absolutely love it. And I would recommend you try it. You should be able to find this at almost any Guerlain boutique. It's widely available still. And I love it. And this has been my review of Herba Fresca. I'll say one last thing about it. The performance isn't great. It's about 3 hours, 4 hours. But you can just spray it on again. You should be able to find this at a reasonable price at discounters. And it is worth it. It's quality. But know and don't be disappointed that you aren't getting heroic performance from it. It's not that kind of fragrance. It doesn't pretend to be that kind of fragrance, but it is beautiful. And if you like mint, it's a staple, along with things like Roadster and Montfresh. Absolutely gorgeous. So it's not the most in-depth review. It's not my greatest review, but well worth doing, I thought. Perfect time of year to do it as well. It's not my scent of the day, but it will be soon. Thanks very much, everyone.